Okay. I I just gave a little segment on YouTube regarding um, racism here in America, and I kind of like to elaborate on Senator Obama's Senator Obama's speech, how it correlates with Dr. King's speech. The difference between these two speeches is one was done out of truth, which is Senator Obama's, and the other done out of love, which is Dr. Martin Luther King's. Dr. King delivered his speech with passion and love, and Senator Obama presented his speech with passion also, and truth. And it's one thing about the human mind. Truth and love. The human mind and the spirit gravitates toward truth and love. And whether we want to or not, we have to accept it. We have to expunge it to the human mind and the heart and the conscience. Truth and love, we have to absorb it. So we did absorb his speech in that manner. It's difficult to accept some of the things he says, but it is the truth. And as I indicated in my first address regarding racism, inferiority, a lot of minorities have an inferiority complex, and that inferiority complex, it feeds into racism just as superiority, which is prominent in our culture also. So I think if we are to rid our nation of racism, when we approach one another, we can't have an inferiority complex and we can't have a superiority complex. We must see each other as equals, and I think when we stand before each other and identify each other as equal, I'm not inferior to you and I'm not superior to you, I think that's where equality sets in our society. I don't think it's intentional on either the individual with inferiority or superiority to control the situation. I think when we come together as equals, that has a tendency to control the situation. So I just ask that we all, when we approach each other, don't think we're better than or less than each other. And I think when we approach one another in that manner, we'll see racism just subside in our culture. And I also like to address the issue of the sacrifices we make in this country for freedom. You know, one thing that Senator Obama's speech made me think of, the sacrifices we make in this country for freedom. Human sacrifice. And I thought of the great human sacrifice of the Civil War to free the slaves. You had whites lay down their lives in hundreds of thousands because they felt that slavery was unjust for this society. I mean, setting racism aside for a minute, we must, as African Americans, we must not forget that human great sacrifice that hundreds of thousands of whites laid down their lives so that we can have the dignity to be a free American. That is one human sacrifice I don't think, as African Americans, we think about too much. Now, I'm not saying that racism do not exist in this society, because it do. But I think if we pander in not just the slavery aspect, but factor in the human aspect of how hundreds and thousands of white Americans stood on the battleground and gave their lives so that slavery would be abolished in this country. That is something that his speech made me think about. And that opened the door of dialogue, and it subsided a lot of the tensions that were in me, because it was those things that I never really thought about, and those are things that we as a group of people should think about. But one thing I do know about racism, if you internalize it and you practice it, it does not matter where you are on the social economic scale. It doesn't matter who you are, economically, socially, spiritually. If you internalize and practice racism, it will destroy you. It will destroy you. So I think what is best is that we as a country and as a nation of people should go forward. Start going forward and stop looking backwards. If we start going forward from this point on, because I think 80 to 90%, maybe even a higher percentage, I'm going to say 93 to 99% of Americans do not practice racism, do not believe in it. So I'm going to log off.